Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a while. Sorry, life's been happening. I moved back into college. But today I'm going to talk to you guys about the blockbuster move of the, not even off season so far, because the season's still technically going for two more teams. But the biggest trade we have seen so far might not even be the biggest trade depending on what happens with Deshaun Watson. And I'm talking about the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, and some pick swap. If you didn't see it, if you've been living under a rock in terms of football news for the past 2-3 days, the general breakdown is the Rams get Matthew Stafford and the Lions get Jared Goff, the 2021 third from the Rams, and the 2022 and 2023 first from them. For cap hits, Lions net $14 million this year, and the Rams only apparently net about $7 million, which is a lot lower of a number than I thought. In terms of implications of this deal, I think that for the Rams side, it's very clearly a win now move. They are now pickless until 2024. They haven't used a first since 2016, and they haven't used their own first since 2015, which I believe was Aaron Donald. The Rams are basically the biggest proponents in the league of just fucking not even bothering with your picks in case you're going to fuck them and just sending them away for good players. It's basically how you would do an NBA rebuild if you're a 2K kind of guy. For me, based on what we saw this year from them, I think this, without a doubt, makes them a Super Bowl contender. Not just a team that can make the divisional round, a team that can win a wild card game. I think this makes them a Super Bowl contender. And I think this team was super, super complete this year. Their offense was pretty good. Their defense was elite. And I think bringing in Matthew Stafford really brings them up to the upper echelon of tier. For teams, it puts them right up top with the Buccaneers, maybe the Saints, with the Packers, I'd even argue. I think they have a better defense, definitely a worse offense as of right now, but that could change. I just think that this move is an excellent deal for the Rams. As of right now, obviously things can change if this team crashes and burns, but they're very clearly in win-now mode for the contracts they have, to the lack of picks. They're gearing up. They're getting ready to go full steam into a Super Bowl run next year, and I don't think it's out of the question. In terms of offensive philosophy shift from them, they were middle of the pack, 12th in favor of running and run-pass splits. I know we'd figured they might be a little higher in running because of how much they used Cam Akers, especially towards the end of last year, but they do still like to pass the ball a lot. I think this can move them slightly closer to 18th, or like middle of the pack, a little bit above where they were. But either way, this offense is going to be really good and incredibly balanced. This gives them a really great offensive core with Matthew Stafford, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp as your two leading receivers, Tyler Higbee, who will be their tight end one. Everett is leaving. I doubt they re-sign him. And Stafford is pretty good inside the numbers. Looked to Hockenson a lot last year in Detroit. Maybe he'll have a big year. Cam Akers, who broke out on the scene, is looking like he's going to be the RB1 in a Sean McVay offense, and we know how that goes. And the third-ranked O-line as graded for PFF this year. You add that up, you get the elite defense, and I don't see how the Rams aren't at least on people's radars to make a Super Bowl. In terms of what this means for the Lions, it makes them a really interesting scenario. New coach, believe new GM, not entirely sure. But now there's a whole lot of questions opened up. Do they use pick 7 on a quarterback, a guy like Trey Lance, and either sit him behind Goff for a year or two, or let him compete with him? Did they use that on a wide receiver? Do they bring in defensive talent like Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, Micah Parsons, all these really good defensive players that they were kind of looking like they were going to avoid, given the fact that they needed a quarterback? Getting Goff really throws a wrench into that plan. Now we really don't know. Are they going to bring back, or at least attempt to bring back, if he doesn't want to come back, he's not going to, Kenny Golladay, to give Jared Goff a nice, reliable number one receiver you can just chuck deep balls to, and he will, without a doubt, come down with them. They could get that pick with a receiver. They could go quarterback. They could go defense. There's a lot of questions. People are wondering what's the impact on this offense with T.J. Hockenson, DeAndre Swift, everyone's favorite darling, including mine, going into next year. Started grabbing some of his rookie cards. I think he's going up. But it's just a very, very peculiar situation. New coach, new quarterback, still a high pick in the draft where you can very well get a guy like Trey Lance, maybe Zach Wilson, or you can maybe move down. Team that wants a quarterback. Maybe the Niners move up. I saw they were trying to cut Jimmy G, or at least move him. They want Kirk Cousins, apparently. Interesting. I kind of like it, but the Lions are really in a peculiar spot because I think there's quite a few ways they can go given the draft and free agency, and I think that we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out for them. Real quick, in terms of who I think won the trade, I feel like it's way too early to say. Off first impressions, I think it's one of the rare win-wins. Yes, the Rams gave up 2 firsts and a third for a guy who didn't want to be there, but he wanted to be there. He wanted to be with McVay, and if you like a guy, you go get him. I don't know if it was Sean McVay who said it, but he said, I'm not focused on winning trades, I'm focused on winning championships. And at the end of the day, if you win a championship, you can give up 8 fucking first-round picks. Look at the Lakers. Obviously, different situation, a little bit, but they trade away all their young pieces, all these picks. They won a championship. No one really cares anymore. If the Rams can win a Super Bowl, or at least make another one, you obviously want to win, but making one is still pretty impressive, then what they gave away does not matter, and the 2 firsts looks like an absolute bargain. For the Lions, you got 2 first-round picks that are most likely going to be low, but you never know. Things can change really quick in the NFL. Plus a 3rd round this year, and you get a really intriguing young quarterback. Jared Goff, for a lot of people, I feel like sits in that 18 to 24 range of quarterbacks, or he's a serviceable starter. He's still young. He's only 26 still. He wasn't a Sean McVay offense. People might hold it against him in terms of his individual talent. But they have a guy there. They can see what they have. They can let him ride this year. They can mentor a quarterback beneath him. They can just let him be the guy. It's going to be fun for them, and I think that just getting rid of a guy who doesn't want to be there and getting the return that was that great and that sizable is honestly a win for the Lions. I think as of right now, both teams win the trade. If I had to pick one team that might be slightly disadvantaged, it's the Rams because they had to give up 2 firsts. But like I said, you win a title, you win that Super Bowl, none of that shit ever matters. Moving on to the most important part of the video, people, the reason you kind of come to this channel, fantasy content. What is the fantasy impact of this trade? For everyone on the Rams offense, I think it's looking up. Boost to Woods, boost to Kupp, boost to Akers, boost to Higbee, and I want to focus on Akers especially. I know a lot of people will say bringing in a good quarterback kind of opens it up. You could have more of a passing game, and I think that might be the situation here. Stafford can fucking sling the rock. He can chuck it downfield. He can work intermediate. He can work underneath. He can work everywhere, and he's a lot better than Jared Goff, despite what some people might try to tell you. He's a much better quarterback than Jared Goff. And according to Player Profiler, Cam Akers faced a 36% stacked box rate, which is 8 defenders in the box or higher, and that was 8th in the league. Is it clear to say that it's because of Jared Goff? Maybe not. Rams like to use a lot of 2 tight end sets, like I said, with Higbee and Everett, could be responsible to that. But there is a chance that bringing in a guy who can stretch the field in Matthew Stafford, maybe they bring in a 3rd receiver, a type of burner kind of guy to really give Stafford that deep target he loves so much. I think Akers is on the up and up, especially with the core that's around him. This Rams offense is going to have way too many weapons to stop for most teams. Going on the Lions, it's hard to say, like I said before. I think that maybe you see a slight dip for Hawkinson just because Stafford liked him so much in between the numbers, liked him as a red zone target. Who knows with Jared Goff? You really don't yet. And just given that uncertainty with free agency and draft picks, I think it's hard to say. But one thing I will certainly recommend, if you're in Dynasty, if somebody knee-jerk reactions and like drop Swift all the way down the rankings, either roll with him or go out and trade him. Dude was the RB9, I believe, in PPR in points per game after he was made the starter. He's coming in with a coach, new head coach, I should say, who was very involved in Alvin Kamara and has come out and said he wants to use DeAndre Swift in that role. And Anthony Lynn is an OC who helped Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon get the usage to have multiple RB1 seasons together. The offensive line is weak for the Lions. It's certainly an issue they could address at 7, add it onto the list of positions they need. But that really didn't stop him last year from producing. He's an electric talent. He's going to produce when he's on the field. And if the hopes are as high as the coaching staff are setting for him, I know there's a lot of coach speak and people don't tend to buy into that all that much. But as of right now, the only thing we can go off is the coach's word, and we'll see later down the road if that's actually what's true or not. So, fantasy impact one more time. Rams all the way up for everybody, especially Akers. Lions, going to be tough to see. Maybe a dip for Hawkinson, but I still love DeAndre Swift. That's going to be it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said earlier, sorry I was gone for so long. A lot of stuff in life kind of took over. Stuff that wasn't necessarily great, but moving back to college, all that type of fun stuff. Dealing with certain preparations, but we're back. We're here talking about fantasy again and real football, because this trade has far more implications than just fantasy football. Let's see what happens, man. Rams, Lions, big deal. Maybe Watson's on the move next. Alright, see ya.